they're head-to-head with Spurs. You know my thoughts on Unai. It seems to me that there's like a split where he either has to be, this tactical genius, or he's the weirdo. Objectively, when I look at the injuries that they've had this season, they've been hit really hard. I know other teams have been hit hard too, and I struggle to bring up injuries because then people are like when we talked about Liverpool's injuries, I had United fans who were like, oh, look at all the injuries United fans. That's fine. You've had injuries too, big deal. Luton had a ton of injuries, which nobody talked about because nobody's heard of these players, right? But this is pretty impressive what he's put together.
Yeah, I mean, it's also maybe the second half of the season is not as good as the first half, and it was never going to be because that first half was just exceptional, especially at Villa Park. And since the turn of the year, he hasn't been as good.
And it's because Boubacar Kamara is not there, right?
Not just Boubacar Kamara, but I think the injuries, I think Europe as well is taking its toll, which is normal. When you lose John McGinn because he gets sent off for some things. I mean,
so stupid.
Yeah, so there's a few things there. They're still fourth, which is an incredible achievement at this stage of the season with 8 games to go. They 2 points clear of Spurs with the same goal difference. They played one more game. So if Spurs win their game in hand, Spurs go fourth and Villa will be fifth, just a point behind. United seems to be a decent gap behind, and United are not very good. We know that. Villa have been better this season than United. So even if they finish fifth and the fifth place qualify them for the Champions League.
Which we won't know yet about that.
No, we won't know yet.
We'll have a clearer idea, I think, after these next quarterfinals.
It's possible. So that would be great. If they finish fifth and go into the Europa League, it's still very good. It's not, it would be an amazing season still.
Although I think in some ways, if they finish fifth and go in the Europa League, and this is, I don't mean to scare you Villa fans, but Villa have spent an enormous amount of money, right? Yeah. If they finish fifth, you may get in a situation where, because of profit and sustainability rules, they're like, all right, we need to kind of work with what we have, slow down the pace of investment in the club.
Yeah.
And then we've seen in years past, Newcastle, for example, finishing fourth and then slipping down. We've seen things like this happen. So I think it's critical to their development, I think, actually. Even though it's a tremendous feat to get Champions League this season. Final word, just to be fair, on Zaniolo. You'll remember in the Champions League a couple of years ago, Cristiano Ronaldo getting absolutely slaughtered when he was in the wall. I can't remember if it was against Lyon or against Porto or which team upset Juve, right?
Yeah.
You remember the free kick?
Porto, I think, yeah.
And he turns.
Yeah.
Was Zaniolo, Alan Shearer, who, when he stood in the wall, I'm sure he would have happily taken it in his nuts or in his face or whatever. And, do for the team. Zaniolo, didn't he kind of turn? To be fair, the guy next to him, I think it was Konsa, also kind of turns as well.
Then Konsa looks at him and says, like, what are you doing? What have you done?
Is this a big deal?
Yeah.
So then why put this guy in the wall? Should you not know your players well enough to know that, hey, maybe you're a flying winger with a long hair?
No player should.
Should what?
Duck out or avoid the ball. No play. You can't.
Okay, but
before the game, you can't say he can't go in the wall because he's a wimp and he's going to turn his back or he's not going to be hit by the ball. You can't do that. And also, you need other players. The ones who go in the wall are the ones that are not marking, for example. Usually. So you go like.
You probably don't want Zaniolo marking either.
Yeah, either. I just think it was bad. The ball should never have gone through, and I think City would still have won even without that goal. But you just don't know. I thought it was bad. I'm not saying that because he's Italian, but I thought it was bad.
Does this mean Zaniolo, given it's something Cristiano did?
Yeah.
Does this mean Zaniolo's on track to emulate Cristiano? No, just checking.
Well, yeah, finish in Saudi. Yeah.